Welcome to Aging Insight with your host, John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire. This program is brought to you by
Welcome to Aging Insight. I'm your host, John Ross, and here with my co-host, Lisa Shoalmire. And we're elder law attorneys who try to address the needs of seniors in particular, but not just seniors. Basically anybody who is concerned about how they're going to take care of themselves if they become disabled or they start needing additional help. Because when that time comes, you don't want to be a burden on your friends and family. You don't want to deplete your life savings and go broke trying to pay for care. And we know that you can accomplish those goals. We know that the tools are out there, that you can live on your own terms, the way you want to do it. But there's a key. There's one thing that you've got to have to do this, and that's knowledge. That's knowledge about what's going on out there, what rules are out there, what things are gonna impact you, and what to look out for as you navigate through these years. And we've talked about lots of topics on this show, from how to pay for nursing home care to HIPAA releases and medical powers of attorney and veterans benefits and all kinds of things. But there's another side to getting older. And in particular is that our older population is a vulnerable population. Oftentimes, if you think about small children, it's not uncommon for small children to find themselves in an abusive household where maybe they are being physically or mentally abused. But what doesn't seem to get a lot of attention is that same type of thing can happen to the elderly. That senior abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and one that doesn't apply to kids, which is financial abuse, those are big deals out there, and it's really tragic. And a lot of times, being able to spot the signs of elder abuse, know what you're looking for, know the difference between what is abuse and what is not abuse. Those things, whether it's you or whether it's somebody you love, being able to identify elder abuse is a huge deal that can benefit all of us as a community.
Well, that's right. And, if we're all fortunate enough to live to our old age, it's quite likely that as we get older, we will need more supports, and so we'll need to lean on friends and family to maybe do driving for us, or take care of those grocery errands, or read over that piece of mail that we got that just isn't really making sense to us. So as we get older, most people do lean on others in the community quite a bit, and because of that need they have for that assistance, it makes that person vulnerable to elder abuse. And we always talk about that surrounding yourself with the right team as you get older is really the most important thing you can do. Hey, I'd love for everyone out there to win the lottery and never have another worry about finances, but really that's just secondary. What we need is a reliable, trustworthy team. And when you have that team, elder abuse is less likely to happen. But it happens in the most unexpected places. People don't expect elder abuse to be happening to their friends or someone they know.
Or to themselves.
And it's they are very ashamed to report it when it does happen to them. And John, just a few weeks ago, we lost a a star of the silver screen. A lot of people out there, I'm sure, are familiar with Mickey Rooney, who I'm a big old movie fan, and so certainly seen Mr. Rooney perform in all sorts of movies with Judy Garland and all, but as Andy Hardy. But John, I don't know if you know that Andy Rooney was the biggest movie star of 1939.
Well,
in the whole world,
yeah.
The biggest movie star.
Yeah, Mickey Rooney was a fantastic actor. In fact, depending on who you asked, some people have called him one of the greatest actors this country has ever seen.
Yeah, you know, if you think about 1939, that was the year of The Wizard of Oz, of Gone with the Wind, but yet the biggest box office attraction, it wasn't Clark Gable, it was Mickey Rooney. And you know, he had a very tumultuous private life. You know, he was a World War II veteran. He left his movie career and went to serve in World War II. And you know, by the time he came back from the war, his movie career was kind of in the ditch, and you know, Americans' taste had moved on from the kind of roles that he had typically played. You know, he was married 8 times over the course of his life. He had a number of children, a number of stepchildren. He was also a victim of elder abuse. And you know, here we have this big Hollywood star that in his senior years was abused financially, physically, and mentally by one of his stepsons and this stepson's wife, who, according to Mr. Rooney, essentially held him hostage in his own home, took away his ability to manage his own assets, sought conservatorship and guardianship over him, you know, threatened him as far as doing jobs that would make money that the stepson could then spend on his own self. And so Mr. Rooney had this happen to him, and he was ashamed, but yet he was finally able to break out of this and be able to get away from this stepson. And he actually gave congressional testimony in front of a panel who was studying elder abuse, I think back in 2008. So he came out very publicly about what happened to him. And again, famous person, a lot of people knew who he was, had resources, money, but yet he was a victim.
Right, and I guess the point with that is, if he can be a victim, so can you. You know, it can happen to anybody. And so learning the types of elder abuse, learning what is or is not elder abuse, and what to do about it, that's really the key. And so what I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll talk about spotting that elder abuse.
As things get older, they require more care. This car and I have seen a lot of miles together, but because I take care of her, she runs just like she did in 1955. That's why I chose the Wadley Senior Clinic, with an individualized care plan designed just for me and a convenient location off Jefferson Avenue. They have everything to keep me running like new. It's not about the miles, it's about the journey. Let the Wadley Senior Clinic keep you happy, healthy, and cruising down the road of life.
With my dad, it was in a hospital setting, and in his situation, he fell into renal failure. He also helped us make the decision to be on hospice. I have to admit, it took a huge weight off our shoulders for him to be willing. That offered us a lot of comfort, along with the hospice company itself, but it gave us closure, and it helped us through the entire process.
SEMA Hospice, comfort and care when it matters most.
Hi, I'm John Ross, elder law attorney and board member for the Alzheimer's Alliance, and welcome to Our Place. Our Place is a day program designed to provide rest and relief for the caregivers of people with Alzheimer's and related dementias. Our Place is a safe environment where our friends benefit from socialization in a home-like environment. Alzheimer's is devastating and affects over 17,000 families in our area. To find out how our place can benefit you, please visit our website.
Hi there, I'm Larry Sims. It's been my privilege for the past several years to be a volunteer board member of Hospice of Texarkana, and there I'm able to represent community members like you. We continually customize our end-of-life care to better meet the needs of our community. As an example, our medical director and nurse practitioner still make visits to homes and facilities. Call today to learn more about the help we can give your family. Hospice of Texarkana, the nonprofit hospice established in 1985 for the community, by the community.
Welcome back to Aging Insight. I'm Lisa Shoalmire, and I'm here with my partner, John Ross. And today we're talking about the very sobering topic of elder abuse. And, you know, a lot of folks really haven't heard of this as a unique area of abuse. But, you know, the states of Texas and Arkansas both have laws on the books that specifically address abuse of seniors, just like they have laws that address the abuse of children. You know, but seniors, you know, we presume a 5-year-old has no capacity, you know, to be able to get out from an abusive situation or to use their judgment. But, you know, with seniors, that can be a very gray area. But also seniors, John, you pointed out a moment ago that seniors actually usually have some assets or some income, and so that makes them vulnerable in a way that children are not.
Right. You know, basically, when you're talking about elder abuse, you're looking at it from generally one of three categories. Is it a physical abuse? You know, assaults. You know. Sexual assaults of the elderly is actually there's quite a bit of that sort of thing happening out there. Physical abuse, whether it's in the home by family members or whether it's in, you know, nursing homes and things like that, it happens. So there's physical abuse. There's also emotional abuse. You know, as people's needs become greater and greater, and they can do less and less for themselves, a lot of times they're caregivers who maybe started out with some good intentions, but because of the stress of caregiving have become frustrated, and maybe they start having a tendency to talk bad about the person and telling them that they're just not good enough, or that they're, you know, so there's a mental and emotional abuse factor. Now, those two sort of things can happen to adults just like it could happen to children. The third one is financial abuse. And that's really one that's pretty unique to older adults because, you know, a lot of times they've accumulated some stuff. They have steady income in the form of Social Security or pensions. They have assets, maybe bank accounts, retirement accounts, and they have illiquid assets like a home and other things that people might want to take.
Right. So, you know, actually, financial abuse of a senior is a very specific criminal and civil type of abuse. And a lot of our financial professionals, such as banks and financial advisors, are actually are provided some training on what to look for in a financial abuse situation. Oftentimes, if we see a lot of checks going through someone's account made out to cash, yeah. That can be a sign. It can be a sign if a new person is driving the senior through the drive-through line, you know, fairly frequently, making withdrawals from the accounts. It can be even the senior signing over the ownership of their home to a caregiver or a family member who has, you know,
coerced them into doing that.
You know, and a lot of times these types of abuse are related. So, you know, for instance, you get that caregiver that's, you know, often a family member who, you know, tells that senior who now is quite dependent on their caregiver, you know, they tell that senior, you know, look, you know, if I leave you, you'll have nobody to take care of you. and then where will you be? And you'll be on the street, or you'll be at a home, and so you don't want to make me mad. And oh, by the way, I want $5,000 if I'm gonna stay around and take care of you. And that senior thinking that there's nobody else in the world who would be there for them. They sign over the asset, pay over the money, and of course, just like with any other blackmail, mental abuse type situation, that doesn't end it.
No, it's never good enough. It just gets worse and worse. And
so if you have seniors in your life, what you want to look for are, you want to look for isolation. Is a new caregiver or family member who has taken on the care responsibilities for a senior, are they still taking them around, and is that senior still able to get to Sunday school and still having some of those social interactions, telephone calls, things that they had normally had, or is that caregiver seeming to isolate them?
Right. And so yeah, if you've got a person that's was very active and now all of a sudden they've just almost disappeared into their own home, could be that something else is going on there. So yeah, isolation is a big one. Changes in personality. When you're the victim of abuse, especially if you're an adult, this can be very shameful. You're being abused, but to admit that means to admit that you're powerless, and that because of your age you're too frail or too weak to do anything about it. And that causes embarrassment, which can turn outgoing people into introverts, and they may not want to talk like they used to, and they may avoid conversations, particularly if those conversations are about how they're doing and things like that. So if you see somebody withdrawing themselves, maybe they're not communicating like they used to, when you're sitting there on the next to them at church, and they used to tell you everything that was going on, and now they don't say anything at all, and the only difference is that they've got a new family member in town, could be that something else is going on there.
And it's so hard, John, because sometimes just, the aging process or an illness, can cause some of the same type changes, but the key is that you continue to take an interest in that senior that you've always known in the community or as part of your family, so that way you can discern whether or not these changes are more related to their aging and health, or seem to be maybe related to their an abuse type situation.
Right, and these are of course going to be very case specific. You're going to know that person or that person's situation or what's going on about them, and whatever the circumstances are going to be very unique to that person. And you may not have any certainty that something is going on. But, sometimes if it smells funny.
That's right. It's better to do something.
That's exactly right. So we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what doing something about it really means. So we'll be right back.
All our moments should be cherished. SEMA Hospice provides comfort care when you need it most, with compassion, dignity, and respect. Along with Jordan Health Services, SEMA Hospice provides compassionate continuity of care. SEMA Hospice, comfort and care when it matters most.
As things get older, they require more care. This car and I have seen a lot of miles together, but because I take care of her, she runs just like she did in 1955. That's why I chose the Wadley Senior Clinic, with an individualized care plan designed just for me and a convenient location off Jefferson Avenue. They have everything to keep me running like new. It's not about the miles, it's about the journey. Let the Wadley Senior Clinic keep you happy, healthy, and cruising down the road of life.
Hi there, I'm Larry Sims. It's been my privilege for the past several years to be a volunteer board member of Hospice of Texarkana. And there I'm able to represent community members like you. We continually customize our end-of-life care to better meet the needs of our community. As an example, our medical director and nurse practitioner still make visits to homes and facilities. Call today to learn more about the help we can give your family. Hospice of Texarkana, the nonprofit hospice established in 1985 for the community, by the community.
From our first moments to our final days, life's journey should be remembered free of burden and worry. Families should be cherished. SEMA Hospice provides comfort care, dignity, and respect. Learn more about SEMA Hospice at semahospice.com. SEMA Hospice, comfort and care when it matters most.
Welcome back to Aging Insight. I'm John Ross, and this is Lisa Shoalmire, and today we've been talking about elder abuse, and we've been talking about looking for signs of it and trying to spot it out there, and sometimes that can be very difficult. You know, especially because oftentimes elder abuse is the abuser is not really somebody you would expect. In fact, the vast majority of elder abuse is committed by close family members, spouses, children, grandchildren. You know, people that you wouldn't normally think of as the perpetrators of despicable crimes. And yet, because of money, because of family dynamics or whatever, these people have turned into abusers. So it really can happen to anybody, and it can happen in any situation. The key is when you see it, when you know it's out there, or when you think it's out there, report it. And when I say report it, sure, there's a moral obligation that if you see somebody in danger or you think somebody's being abused, sure, from a moral standpoint, we should report it. But at least in around here, it goes a little further than that. It's actually required. If you suspect somebody is being abused, you are required to report that to law enforcement. In fact, the failure to report is a crime.
Yeah. Well, and that can be a very touchy situation. So, you know, the states of Texas and Arkansas have set up, toll-free numbers where you can actually call Adult Protective Services and report suspected abuse to that crisis line, and that report can be anonymous if you choose. Although, you know, frequently it's really not too hard to figure out who it was that made the report just based on the facts as they're reported. But you know, if you don't feel comfortable, you know, picking up and going to make a report to the police station, the sheriff's office, then you can utilize that 1-800 crisis line number in both states to report elder abuse.
Well, you know, and one thing a lot of people will mention to me is they'll say, well, John, you know, I was thinking about, I don't know if it's abuse, I don't really know what's going on, and I'm afraid that if I report it and it turns out not to be abuse, that maybe they'll come back on me. Maybe I could get sued for something like that. Well, you're actually protected from that as well. There is no liability for reporting suspected elder abuse, even if it turns out that there was in fact no elder abuse going on. As long as that you had some reason to suspect it. Now, of course, making false claims is a whole different deal.
Yeah.
You don't get to just go out there making random false claims against people. That can get you in trouble. But if you suspect it, even if it turns out to be perfectly okay, if you suspect it, the best course of action is to err on the side of reporting it.
That's right. So if you've got that good faith belief that something's going on, make the report. You know, and one of the other options in dealing with elder abuse can be, you know, if it's a family member that is a caregiver that you suspect is abusing that senior financially, physically, psychologically, you know, if you're so inclined, you can actually step in and seek, you know, perhaps it's appropriate to seek a guardianship where you are appointed to be the caregiver of that person, and that because the caregiver they have is inappropriate and committing these abuses, that's something to explore as well.
Yeah, you know, one thing, anybody can file for guardianship over anybody else. You know, so you don't even necessarily have to be related to the person to try to seek that guardianship in order to protect that person who cannot make decisions for themselves.
You know, and with that guardianship, John, I mean, there's a lot of proof that you have to put on as far as a guardianship, but sometimes just engaging the process will get the microscope put on the situation to where, you know, if there's financial abuse going on, you know, maybe the court will say, hey, it looks to me like this individual can care for themselves and make day-to-day decisions for themselves, but I'm worried about the money, so I'm going to put the money in a special account where, you know, it's going to be protected.
That's right. You know, and so there is Adult Protective Services, which is a division of the Department of Health and Human Services that investigates elder abuse, which can, you know, in the home environments and things like that. There's also, if you have a family member that you suspect has been mistreated in a nursing home environment, there is a nursing home ombudsman, and this is usually a part of the area agency on aging, and that ombudsman can go out and look into the situation, and if they suspect elder abuse, they can get law enforcement involved. Of course, you could always call 911, and you know, if you're not sure what to do one way or the other thing is you can contact somebody like an elder law attorney. You know, we're not law enforcement people, but we have seen this and we've experienced it through our clients over and over. And so a lot of times an elder law attorney can provide you guidance and resources on where to go.
That's right. So, you know, and that's what Aging Insight is all about, is providing you those resources and guidance as you get older. And you know, John, that's one thing we're all on that track, you know, one way or another.
That's right.
To get a little older. So we hope that you've gotten something out of today's program, and you know, we're here every week, so we appreciate you viewing Aging Insight right here on KLFI, and you can also tune in to us on Saturdays on the radio at 107.1, and that's every Saturday at noon. And if you have questions, that's a live call-in, so
that's
you can
right.
call us during that time.
That's right. You can also find us on the internet at www.aginginsight.com, or you could follow me on Twitter at txkelderlaw.com. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this week's Aging Insight program with John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire. This program is made possible by